Hello and welcome to this next tutorial in using Unity to create augmented reality projects. In this we're going to be looking at adding images to our graphical user interface, to our canvas, so it can act as a slideshow rather than maybe having big blocks of text. Okay, so let's get started. So I've gone back to the original planets tutorial where rather than using the video game museum one, because I've already got the canvas set up for that. Okay, so I'm just going to zoom in. Well, I'm just going to zoom in on our canvas a little bit. And so we've already got our info text box. We've got our buttons for next and our button for closing. So what I really want to add is an image holder, a placeholder for our images. So I'm going to come down to UI. Now you might want to go straight to image, but I don't. I want a raw image because that way we can just drag our normal images onto it rather than whereas images require you to convert them to sprites. So if I just click raw image, and just like I've done previously, I'm going to drag this over. Now this is going to overlap with my text a little bit, and obviously what I would really have to do is play back with the size and scales and font size, but for today I'm just going to sort of resize it a little bit, and it'll be really over to you to sort of make fit appropriately. Now I'm also aware that for some people with the XR environment they cannot get to the scene view. I'm not sure why that's happening on your computers. It might just be the version of Unity that you're on, and if that's the case you can always edit it in the game view and just do it manually through the controls. So if I want to move the position of this, I can just sort of drag things over. It's not ideal, but it will work like that. Okay, so I've got the raw image, and just as a placeholder, I've got the raw image there. I'm just going to compress. Yeah, that's fine. I'm just going to drag an image so I can see what it's looking like. There we go. I've got a Mars moon. Obviously, you could have your images as you see fit. And that's just a placeholder so I can see what's happening. So if I press play, it'll go back to where it was before, which is, it's going to show me Earth, well not Earth straight away once I click on one. There we go. So obviously there's no GUI just there's no canvas. If I click on Mars, it pops up.
Our closest neighbor and possibly humanity's next home.
And I've already got the moon there. Again, you might want to play back with scales and size and font size, etc. So obviously that's not good, because right now when I press the next button, it's not going to change the image. So for example, I click on the moon, press next.
Mars is up.
And it's obviously staying as the moon, so yes, Mars' moon. So I need to change that. So I'm going to jump over into the code. So I'm using the exact same code we used last time, which is my AR UI script. I'm just going to come into this. I'm going to create a connection to that. So just like I've got the public canvas and public text, I'm going to have a public, and this is going to be my raw image. Yes, I want let's have a quick think. Yep, I want a link to the raw image text box, so raw image. Why is that not coming up? Okay, so I expect it to say, I expect it to go green, just like TM Pro text, and the reason I'm not doing it is because I forgot to actually include the UI library. So I'm just going to go Unity engine .ui. Oops, forgot to put semicolon. There we go. So now we can see it's gone green just because I've included the correct library. So this is going to let me link the image over to our canvas in the code. So I'll go back into Unity. It should pop up. Oops, too far. There we go. No, it's not there just yet. Is it not compiled? No, not press save. I did not press save. Always press save on your scripts. Come back over, and this should appear once it's finished compiling. Okay, so there we go. We can see it's now got raw image, so I can drag my raw image over. Obviously, I should really rename that from raw image. It's not good. Sample of good code there, but I'll just leave it for now. So I'm in play mode. That's no good because now it'll forget what I've done. There, it's gone back to none, so I need to try again and drag that across. So now it's ready for our code to talk to it. But again, I need to go back over to the code, because just like with the text boxes and with our sound effects, I need to do the same thing. I need to create a list. Now at this point I'm not going to use raw images for the list because actually it's a texture. So again I'm going to create a list, and this time it's going to be a texture. Oops, I spelled that wrong. There we go, texture 2D. And this is going to be my image list equals new list. There we go, it's finishing it off for us. So now, because it's public, we can just drag the picture we want to go onto. Before I go any further, I'm just going to come down here, and just like before, I'm going to use my display and play functions. And again, the pointers are going to point to the number of images. So I will need to make sure that I have just as many pictures as I do sound effects and button pressing, etc, etc. Okay, so let's come down to our display. So that's pushing the pointer. So where am I going to? There we go, display and play. So I've got the text box, I've got the play sound, and I just want to change the picture as well. So if I just now go, what did I actually call it? I've already forgotten. I just called it RawImage. Not very imaginative of me. So if I just go RawImage dot texture equals, I think that's what it's going to be anyway, equals our image list. Again, to make sure, what did I call it? I called it image list. So I'm just going to call it image list, square brackets I, oops. Right, info pointer, isn't it? We're going to point it to wherever our info pointer is pointing to. And there we go. So that should, in theory, do it. So I'm going to save the script. We can see I've saved it by Control S. Over back into Unity itself. Wait for it to compile. Okay, so now I've got my image list here. Of course, it's empty, so I'm just going to click it a few times. Ready to drag my images in. So I'm going to drag, so I know the first one is Earth, so I'm just going to drag some images across. I'm just going to drag my planets. Again, this is not perfect, this is not my professional document. What else have I got to put in there? And I'll just drag an Earth picture in. This is just placeholders, obviously. And now for my Mars, oops, it's clicked off it. So I'm just going to drag my Mars bit. Oops, it's gone too far, I need to scroll down a little bit. So I'll come back a bit. So I'm going to drag Mars on. Go back into my planets folder, which I've already created. Put the moon in. Oh, could do with fixing that a little bit. And again, these are just placeholder images. If I was doing this properly, these would be all very sensible. But now, hopefully, provided I've done this correctly. So I'm going to click on Mars.
Mars.
There we go.
Our closest neighbor and possibly Mars is also known.
Okay, so we didn't quite go to the last image. I'm not sure why I didn't do that. Let's just check Earth.
The Earth, the third rock. The Earth is harmless. Correction,
okay.
Mostly harmless.
So we can see it is scrolling through the images. So if you want to use images instead of text or instead of sound, that's how we can do it. Just by modifying the code to include the list of images, including a link to our raw image on the canvas, and then just changing that one bit, well, and that extra little bit of code where we tell it to point to which image number we want to put onto that texture. And that's it. So I shall remember, if this video has been useful, please like and subscribe. Leave a positive comment below, and if you've got a suggestion for a future video, also leave that below. And I shall see you in the next one.